The tragic collapse of the Francis Scott Key Bridge in Baltimore hasn't just led to pervasive and seemingly unanswerable conspiracy theories. It's also exposed the utter stupidity, depravity, and bigotry of the right wing. And one of the targets of this was the mayor of Baltimore, Brandon Scott, being attacked for just speaking out about the tragedy, representing the people of the area. Take a look at what he had to say.
Everyone, this is a unthinkable tragedy. We have to first and foremost pray for all of those who are impacted, those families. Pray for our first responders and thank them, all of them working together, city, state, local.
How long is it going to take to rebuild this, Mayor?
I think right now, sir, listen, we shouldn't even be having that discussion right now. The discussion right now should be about the people, the souls, the lives that we're trying to save. There will be a time to discuss about a bridge and how we get a bridge back up. But right now, there are people in the water that we have to get out. And that's the only thing we should be talking about.
So you can probably tell from that, he deserves to be crucified for those comments. No, he acted exactly as you'd expect or hope that a mayor would following a tragedy like this. It was a great answer to the question of when the bridge would be repaired. A lot of people have been asking that question, and honestly, I haven't thought enough about the fact that it's a little bit premature. People were missing at the time. People have since been found. 6 people have died as a result of this. And lots of people are less concerned about that than they are about the bridge or smearing him as being the DEI Mayor of Baltimore. That's what this verified account on Twitter said. What does that mean, that he's the DEI Mayor? Well, there are theories. Of course, not being spelled out there. Cowardly bigots are never that clear. They're afraid of the consequences of their actions, but it's not hard to figure out why he's being called the DEI Mayor, despite the fact that DEI, diversity initiatives, all of that have nothing to do with him getting into that position. As most of you probably know at this point, he was elected with more than 70% of the vote. It was not some sort of equity hire. He was a popular candidate with a compelling history. Look into it. Look at all the work that he did to slowly work his way up through the political system. He did everything that you're supposed to do, but at the end of the day, he is notably still black, so they're gonna ding him a couple points on that. But anyway, that was not the only attack against him. You have Elijah Schaffer putting out this meme, "Dat bridge be closed, yo." That's not what he said. I know that you love the idea that he would be inarticulate or unqualified, clearly, especially in this sort of tragedy. He wouldn't be able to step up and represent his area. No, he did. That's frustrating to you, isn't it? That he was able to do that. So forget all that stuff he said. We're gonna set that aside. We're gonna pretend that he just spoke in Ebonics or something. So that's what they're doing. And look, as I alluded to, other people are pointing out that there is a pattern to this. Professor Cornell William Brooks said, just say it, DEI is the new N-word, okay? I think a lot of other people are acknowledging that too, but we wanna go back to the mayor who went on MSNBC to call out these sort of bigoted comments. Take a look at this.
Allow you, Mayor Scott, if you choose to do so, to respond to the tomfoolery and attacks on you for having the nerve to be black and also a mayor.
Well, I think, listen, I know, and we all know, and you know very well, that black men and young black men in particular have been the boogeyman for those who are racist and think that only straight, wealthy white men should have a say in anything. We've been the boogeyman from them since the first day they brought us to this country. And what they mean by DEI, in my opinion, is duly elected incumbent. We know what they want to say, but they don't have the courage to say the N-word. And the fact that I don't believe in their untruthful and wrong ideology, and I am very proud of my heritage and who I am and where I come from, scares them. Because me being at my position means that their way of thinking, their way of life of being comfortable and suffering, and while everyone else suffers, is going to be at risk. And they should be afraid, because that's my purpose in life.
That was awesome. It was well put together. I think he's 100% accurate. So any racist watching this, feel free to pretend that he didn't say any of that and just input like a phrase on a meme or something like that, if that makes you feel better. But he's 100% right. That's all it is. There are so many people, many of them verified on Twitter, that just desperately are waiting for when they can just use the N-word. That's all they want. It burns inside of them, their desire to do this. They're hoping that Daddy Trump will just usher in an era where it's acceptable, maybe with an assist from Elon Musk, and they can just start using it. These are people who are thoroughly afflicted by the brain damage that is racism, and they want to take down people like this. I don't know why, I don't know what broke them. Maz, what are your thoughts about all this?
John, I don't know why you're complaining. Racism is over. What are you talking about? It's so obvious and it's so frustrating. I get into conversations with some people who talk about DEI and they talk about, race isn't an issue, it doesn't matter, the best should rise, all that stuff. Let's start from the first thing that you pointed out. This gentleman was elected. He was not appointed, he was elected. There's no way that you can actually implement DEI into an election because the people chose him. So these numbnuts that are on there somehow trying to use DEI as an excuse to say that the bridge fell and the boat hit it because of DEI. It's nonsensical. They're really bending themselves into pretzels to be able to show their racism. It's the most ridiculous and obvious thing in the world. And these people, I don't know how they look at themselves in the mirror, but they should be ashamed of themselves for even going there. And the mayor has, such poise, and the way he's trying to handle this is so clearly in a humane fashion. And when that gentleman asked, I don't think the gentleman, the reporter was asking in any malicious way. He was asking the question of when will the bridge be tended to, and his answer was correct. We need to worry about the people right now. But the truth is, I'm sure the next day there's a department in the city that's dealing with, how do we fix the bridge, right? It's like you can walk and chew gum at the same time. Sure, and so he was trying to remind us of the humanity. And of course, you're gonna go one step further when you get these same racists and bigots finding out that the workers who perished there were migrants and they weren't American citizens. And so that's gonna take them another level of saying, well, I'm not gonna care as much. I want my bridge up. I'm not gonna care about these people because they're not actually Americans. And so it's almost sad that someone would have so much lack of sympathy and empathy in them that they would just turn to demonizing people of color at any given turn. This is a tragedy, and it's something that we should all be concerned about, and also we should be appreciative of those people who were doing those jobs at 1 a.m. when all your lazy butts would not work or want that job. And this happened to them. And so rather than demonizing these people, how about embracing these people and realizing that a majority of immigrants that come to America come to do good and help America improve?
100%. Yeah. As we said, 6 people have passed, all of them apparently migrants. Many had lived here for many, many years, and were doing incredibly important work to maintain our vital infrastructure, and lost their lives. And they're the exact sort of people that have been demonized for decades, will be demonized every single day through this election. They'll be ignored. The loss of their life won't even be mentioned by the same sort of people that will imply that everybody who crosses the border is doing it so that they can steal something from a good white person. But it certainly should be noted. And also, we can't stay on this long. I just want to. When I've been talking about the anti-woke movement and their sad, pathetic crying over people of color, women being cast in movies, I have been trying to get people to understand that this is a new form of segregation. They do not believe that these sorts of people should be allowed to fill these roles. They're for white people. They are not for black stars or women or gay people or whatever. That's sort of the anti-woke part of this. But this is the same thing. When you hear he's the DEI mayor, he doesn't get to hold this position. Doesn't matter how popular he is or how qualified he is. He remains to this day black, and so he should not be in the position. When you see a bunch of pathetic little people like Charlie Kirk in one of his panels talking about, when I see a black pilot, I think, oh God, I hope he's qualified because of DEI. The DEI thing just lets them say what they want to say, which is, he is so pathetic that he cannot conceive of a world in which a black pilot is qualified to fly that. So black pilots don't get to fly it. without him being terrified, okay? They're carving out all these areas of American society where the only way that you can exist without being demonized or triggering fear is if you're a good white person. And if you're anyone else, you're at the very least suspicious. And it's like, I know that they're doing all of this for cover, the DEI and the wokeness and everything, but I feel like not enough people, particularly in media, are really like connecting the dots here and see what's brewing on the right and what's being normalized.
Yeah, and you brought up Charlie Kirk and also the other guy. What's the other fast talking guy? There's two, the fast talking, Ben Shapiro. Just because you talk fast doesn't mean you're qualified. Doesn't mean that you're smart enough to give an opinion on certain things. And really, as you just said, the words just speak for themselves. He's just saying, I talk fast, I sound like I'm qualified, and that is how I get to hide my racism. Because it's just out and out racism. I wish these people, you know, one of the problems in this country, John, is that we don't travel enough. I, as a comedian, have had a chance to travel around the world. I've been to the Middle East, I've been to Australia, I've been to Europe, all over the world. And you go certain places where there are not that many white people, and the people that are piloting your plane, the people that are lawyers and doctors, the people that are mayors and leaders are people of color. And you look at that and you go, oh wow, there's people of color that are running this place. Oh wow, that's a possible thing. And you realize that the color of your skin does not determine your ability to run something or fly a plane or any of that stuff. But the color of their skin does determine your ability to reach deep inside and find your racist within. And now, because of Donald Trump, because of the far right movement, these people have the nerve to say that out loud, which is we should all be holding our heads down for allowing this to rise up to this level in this day and age. Right now we should be progressed enough to not be patting these people on the back, but they have podcasts and they have organizations and they have 100% followers. It is really, America should be ashamed. Like, we should all be ashamed that these people have the platform to speak in the way that they do.
Yeah, I can't speak for everyone. I feel that shame. Yeah, and just I'll close with this. Remember what they said about like Ketanji Brown Jackson? She was automatically face alone, not qualified to be on the Supreme Court. Kamala Harris. I don't love Kamala Harris as a politician, but she was a diversity hire. That's what they say about her. Like in all of these cases. Remember Obama? No, he's obviously not qualified because he's a secret Nigerian Muslim. Like on face alone, these are spots that you are violating. You are invading spots that should be held for a good, pale person. It's so utterly normalized, and they don't just say it. They say it and they get paid and they get audiences and they get power for advocating for the new segregation.
By the way, real quickly, do they say the same thing about Clarence Thomas or Condoleezza Rice or anybody who's on the right, Candace Owens? Do they say about the people on the right, or do they not? I haven't heard them.
It's a good point. No, in that particular case, it's allowed provisionally. You know, even Candace Owens eventually said something they didn't like and they booted her ass out. Check out the Damage Report podcast each day, wherever you get your podcasts, whether Pocket Casts or Stitcher or iTunes. You can join me as I give you the news and stories you want, with a range of co-hosts and interview guests jumping in on the fun each day. Again, that's the Damage Report, wherever you get your podcasts. And if you get them at iTunes, don't forget to rate and review. Sometimes I'll read them live on the show.